Hello everybody, welcome back to the channel. This is Something Saturday. And on Something Saturday, we just talk about things we didn't get to talk about the rest of the week. And today we have one specific topic to discuss, and that is the potential copyright of Superman and Batman. And what exactly happens when it goes into public domain. This is a topic I've heard a lot lately, so let's jump right into it. You might have heard some talk about the possibility that DC will in fact be losing Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman. This is not a done deal yet. However, the reason people are starting to talk about that and debate what happens when this does occur is that we have seen a lot of things start to come into public domain. Mickey Mouse, Winnie the Pooh, these things were things that were icons that people looked up to, that people knew very well from their childhood. Not to mention the Bambi, the Peter Pan, stuff like that, that is now able to go into being made by other people. Things that they can interpret their own way, i.e. the horror movie craze that has begun with a lot of these properties. Superman, Batman, and Wonder Woman will all be entering public domain starting in the year 2034, and that's not that far away. Now, I know. Why talk about it now? Well, there's been a lot of talk about what happens here, and so much so that a lot of big sites are talking about this possibility now. They're wondering what happens with the DC as we know it. Do they continue on? Do they bother? A lot of people are talking about James Gunn starting a new DC franchise when we're so close to everything going into public domain. So, what exactly is the situation? Well, we need to start by giving you a date. Because this is the thing. Superman will be in public domain along with Lois Lane in 2034. Followed by Batman in 2035. And then the Joker in 2036. And Wonder Woman following suit in 2037. This is important because all of these are back to back. Literally a year apart for every single one of these things to go into public domain. And this has people concerned. Because now, if we start this franchise, you've seen how the Marvel franchise has gone on for over a decade. Well, the DC franchise just starting up again would be going on into this whole public domain incident happening. Now, this is going to be a game changer because you can pretty much expect that people are going to take advantage of this. People are going to go ahead and do something with these properties. Why wouldn't you? Because that's the thing. What can you do with these properties? Let's be really, really clear on this because we talked a little bit about this with the other properties that have gone into public domain, but this goes beyond that. You know what they look like. You know their emblem that they have on their outfit. Here's the thing you have to know. Just like with Mickey Mouse and Winnie the Pooh, not everything to do with them is going to be in public domain. And comic book characters are a bit different than, say, an old book. You can have an old book that goes into public domain and it can be interpreted several different ways. Just look at the Grimm's fairy tales. The Grimm's fairy tales are in fact very old and a lot of them are in public domain. The reason you can't use Snow White and you can't use Cinderella and have them look the way you know they look is that the look that you remember is more than likely the look that Disney gave them. And Disney holds the copyright to those particular looks. When you look at the DC characters that are going to go into public domain, you have very much the same issue. Superman's logo will not be able to be used. Batman's logo will not be able to be used. Wonder Woman's logo will not be able to be used. And that's important because without those iconic logos, do you really have a situation where anyone is going to be confused? You see, this is the thing. They want you to know exactly what those characters are. They want you to know without a shadow of a doubt that Superman is Superman because he has the big S on his chest. Batman is Batman because he has that symbol on his chest. Wonder Woman is Wonder Woman because of the W's that make up her outfit as well. And that is important to realize because everything that you would see in the future that wouldn't be able to have those would come across as cheap knockoffs. And that's the thing. They want you to remember that it's their stuff, that it's their characters. And Lex Luthor is nowhere to be found in public domain to give Superman a hard time at the time that he goes into public domain. So you're looking at a completely different thing. Superman can only leap tall buildings in a single bound. He cannot fly. And in fact, this is not something that really should concern you. Because the character as you know him is not the character he originated as anyway. If you look at Superman, Superman started off as a short story written by Jerry Siegel and illustrated by Joe Shuster. It started off in 1933 as Reign of the Superman. And in fact, it was nothing like the Superman that you know today. In fact, he was a telepathic villain. It was actually after this that they switched him over to become the Superman you know today. That version and the very first version of Superman that can't fly, that can't do all this stuff, that is your public domain. And the same with some of these other characters. You just can't have them have the same thing. Superman can't use kryptonite. Kryptonite can't be a weakness. However, here's a funny thing about that. Kryptonite is actually not a copyright. Not a copyrighted situation. You could put kryptonite in there, but the second that you make kryptonite a weakness of Superman, you now have an issue. Because you can't copyright a word, but you can copyright an element of a story. And that's what we're dealing with. So this actually changes the game a bit though, anyway, because that means in 10 years or so, anyone can write anything they want about these characters. Remember, Marvel owns the rights to Thor. But Thor is a public domain character. So Marvel owning the rights to Thor only goes as far as what powers they have given Thor. What things they have given Thor. So they own their version of Thor. This doesn't change anything. This makes it so that people can use these characters, but they can't use the logos. They can't use the weaknesses. They can't use the powers that these people have. The Batarang is probably out of question. A lot of Batman's wonderful toys are out of the question. Wonder Woman's lasso is possibly out of the question. I don't know if she had that from the very beginning, but if she didn't have that from the very beginning, you're not able to use it. So you've taken away a lot of what makes these characters iconic. And the second you do that, they come across as these cheap knockoffs. Now, what this does mean is that anybody can do stories about these characters, and that is a game changer. That means that 10 years down the line, we could get the Snyderverse reopened, just it would be these public domain versions of these characters. And that is kind of the plan. That's the plan. DC wants people to know that they own these characters, and they've changed them. For example, eventually the mullet look of Superman will go into public domain, but as of right now, you can't even use that. Comic books seem to keep their characters relevant by updating them over and over again. So comic books have their little tricks to make sure that these characters remain as they are, to remain how we need to see them. And that anything that doesn't look like these characters, that claims to be these characters, is in fact nothing more than a knockoff. So I hope that this helps with kind of what I've been hearing around the internet for the past couple of days, and kind of gives you some insight into why it's not as big of a deal as people are claiming. But what do you guys think about this situation? In 10 years, are you excited that anyone can write Superman, anyone can write Batman, anyone can write Wonder Woman, and the Joker will be in public domain too? As always, we want to know what you guys think, so make sure you leave us a comment. Make sure you share this with all of your friends so they can be a part of the conversation as well. Don't forget to hit that like button. It's free. It helps the channel. We appreciate it. Miko says we need more subscribers, and you don't want to disappoint Miko, so go ahead and hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell while you're down there so you don't miss a single video we do. Then, friends, at the end of the day, I know it, you know it, and Miko knows it. Fandom is family.